Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Alex with the Linux Tube. Today I'm coming to you guys based upon an email that I got from a distro, as he likes to call it, a spins developer. He saw my video, my review that I did on it, and he uh, thought that I did a good enough job. I did a good job on it, and that he wanted to make a special emphasis on some other stuff. So he sent me an email, and actually he communicated in a comment on the video itself on YouTube. And so after reading his email, I had already told him I would make a video on it on what he wanted me to, but instead I felt it better to make the video with his own words written in front of us for us to share, so that we can better understand exactly and clearly what it is that he was trying to say. So let's go ahead and take a look at the email, and then we'll, I'll add anything I need to during the course of the email or after it. So here we go. Hi there. This is Sam, the creator of SpiralLinux. Thanks again for the review and for your kind offer to mention some aspects of SpiralLinux in a future video. I think that the biggest question that needs to be cleared up is why create another Debian-based distro when so many other great ones already exist? In part, the answer lies in the question itself. There are indeed a ton of Debian-based distros out there. But I would argue that SpiralLinux isn't really a distro. It's a set of spins that are directly built from Debian and are designed to continue being entirely dependent on Debian. Not on me, as a one-man developer. He does this all by his lonesome. That is impressive. SpiralLinux is basically an alternative installation and configuration method for Debian. Almost all of the other Debian-based distros out there that I'm familiar with, such as LMDE or Linux Mint Debian Edition, Sparky Linux, MX Linux, and Anti-X all include their own custom packages and package repos. All of those projects cost money to operate. Sparky Linux, for example, has a rather urgent message on its website that the future of the project depends on donations. You guys need to check out my video that I just recently made on supporting your favorite distros, projects, and developers. If anything happens to those projects, at least some of their included package repositories will stop working, and the system might have trouble updating or even develop security vulnerabilities in a worst-case scenario. SpiralLinux, on the other hand, has an annual budget and an annual expenditure of $0 because even the website is a static HTML. An example, not hackable, and requires no security updates ever. Site hosted on a free GitHub domain that will never go away. And the ISOs are hosted on a free on SoundForge. And the ISOs are hosted for free on SoundForge and require nothing else from me to keep them there. So that's a major reason why I created SpiralLinux, because of my personal installations, and I want the reliability and the manpower of Debian to be backing it. Not even I trust myself to maintain an installed system or create updates for it. That's a pretty bold statement that he who created this and has maintained this and done a great job of it, by the way, can see that his fallibility can be happening and prevent the project's success in the future. That's a big man to be able to say that. The other features that I list on SpiralLinux website are also important, differentiating aspects that justify the reason for considering SpiralLinux over just a vanilla Debian installer. Some of them are extremely difficult to configure for a less experienced user, such as BTRFS subvolume layout and proper theming for Flatpak apps, which that is something that he wanted me to point out, is that it has proper theming for Flatpak apps. So natively, you can run them right away, and there's no issues or hiccups with them. There are also some unlisted configuration tweaks to work around oddities and or bugs in vanilla Debian. You can see what has been tweaked by downloading the SpiralLinux build recipes from GitHub and looking at the override config files in the config/includes.chroot directory. Any other thoughts or questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks again, and best regards, Sam. Sam, first I'd like to tell you, thank you for being a supporter and viewer of this channel. That means a lot to me. I never thought that I would get a developer to respond as quickly as you have. That also is another thing that I would like to bring up. I've used many distributions of Linux. There's times that I've emailed or even messaged them in forums or privately or IRC, whichever method they chose to have for communicating with them, and got responses. Some of them weren't exactly responses, some of them were perfect responses, but never as rapidly as this man did. Sometimes I'd wait a week, sometimes I'd wait 2 weeks, but I would get the response. Sam responded. I think I posted the video, and like a day later, 2 days later, I had a response, and that leads me to believe that if you, as a user, use SpiralLinux, that your support or questions that you may have, if it's something beyond your not your knowledgeable index of what you're doing, you're going to probably get an answer right away that's going to help you. And the support that gives to this distribution is bar none outstanding. So I have absolutely zero problems recommend this to be people's daily driver if they so choose to, and they like the distribution or the spin, and prefer a Debian based spin or distribution over, say, an Arch base or Gentoo or Fedora or whatever, because this developer is Johnny on the spot and awesome. Has great way of communicating. Certainly has no problems responding right away, and is very proud of what he does. So that's the one thing I'd like to say first and foremost. The other thing I'd like to say is how complete this distribution really is. Again, I can only say that it is definitely something that I would recommend to any newer users to use that are trying to break into the Linux world and are looking for something that's ready to go right out of the box and is everything pretty much that a new user could possibly need, unless you're a one-off particular new user that has one other thing that most people don't really use all the time. You're still going to have to hunt and peck to do that one. But it can be found because there's tons of FOSS software, free and open source software out there for you, alternatively to use over Microsoft stuff. The third thing that I would like to say is that SpiralLinux is definitely a growing distribution, or spin, as he likes to say. And I'm going to have to call it spin because he wants it called a spin. So, Sam, sorry about that if I keep calling it distribution. But either way, at any instance, it's definitely something that I think has a lot of potential and a lot of growth, and is just going to be better and better and better because this man's dedication and his reasoning is sound on the overall cost of maintaining it, which is very smart. As I've done a video based on that'll be coming out as well, on developers that are having problems maintaining these distributions because they're not getting the love that they need by its users, which is understandable in and of itself because people come to Linux, as I said in the video, because it's the right price. It's free. People take free stuff and they like to use it as long as it's a quality product to keep using. Oftentimes we get free stuff and it isn't such quality stuff, so we just discard it and say no harm, no foul. We're not out any money. But when it's something that's really good like this, like Linux, I mean, Linux over the course of the 20 years that I've been using it, I've watched it grow from something that coders and programmers and uber computer geeks, or whatever you want to call them, people could only install and use because it was so command line driven that the basic layperson can't use it to what it is now. Now it is a viable operating system out there that can compete with Windows and with Apple. I mean, it literally is that good, and it is that seamless to install. It's no longer an arduous task to install it. You can actually install it in a normal, everyday fashion, the same as you would any of those two that I just mentioned. And the ease and usability of it is so user-friendly anymore with all of its graphical user interfaces or GUIs that it has, that it literally is amazing. It is amazing what Linux has come from and to what it is today. And that is one of the reasons why the developers use it today and continue to develop it and to make their work better. And us content creators spend all of our time, well, not all of our time, but a major portion of our time or free time on developing these videos and bringing these things to you guys so that you guys can certainly enjoy the greatness that it is. So that being said, if you're enjoying Linux, then you definitely should show the people that were involved in bringing this to you your generosity, your gratefulness, your love, whatever you want to call it. And even if it's just dropping 25 cents or $1 or $20. Some people, and I'm not bashing in any way, shape, or form, so let's make that clear. It's just fact. I always state fact. I like to state fact because there isn't really an argument for it. People may make excuses against it, but it's just that. It's usually an excuse because a fact is a fact. And the reality of it is many people will spend $20+ on a pack of cigarettes and Monster drinks when they could have just skipped one of those two and just sent 50 cents, $1, $2 to the developer who created the one thing that you use every day and you find so much enjoyment from. It's like artists that create music or art that hang on your wall. Support them as well. They have a talent that you appreciate, and there's nothing wrong with saying thank you. And that's all I have to say on that subject. And I'll say it again and again and again. And I'll continue to mention it. And I make mention of that in every one of my videos. Donate and support. It's important. It keeps these things happening. If not, then the great creators that create this stuff are going to have to go elsewhere and do other things in order to pay for their life, their children, their wives, their mortgages, everything. So take a few minutes, click that like, donate button or join button or subscribe button, and let us know, all of us that are involved in bringing Linux to you in any way, shape, or form, that, hey, I hear you. Thank you so much. Once, twice, you're done. That's good. No problem. It's easy. Go ahead and do it. Hey, I want you guys to keep Linuxing out there and having a great time with it. Enjoy it and love it as I do, and the developers who take the time to do this. Have a great day.